All right, time for another mock draft here. We're doing ESPN.com this time, and we're doing 12 team this time. Maybe I should turn that sound off. Okay, so we've done videos on fantasypros.com with 10 team leagues. We've also done a 20 team and a 32 team draft because we're insane. And now we're doing 12 team or using ESPN. It's good to mix up, especially if you're preparing for a live draft. It's good to mix up your prep so that you use some different sites. Try Fantasy Pros, try ESPN, try Yahoo. That fantasy football calculator, their ADP rankings are really out of whack in some cases, so I wouldn't rely too heavily on that. So don't use that site too often, or mix it in with some other ones here. I thought we were going to be alone here with a bunch of auto picks, but at the last second, two other guys joined in. At least the first pick picked McCaffrey instantly, so that was good. Now we've got another gentleman here, but I wanted to pick from 12 since we're kind of working our way through Fantasy Pros 10 team at pick 1, then pick 2, and so on. I wanted to start at 12 for this one. So as people know with me, I'm always hard on the tight ends. So I always say that. I'm always hard on the running backs here. So let's get the double stud running back as always. I don't even look at the receivers here. This is non-PPR, which is about the same as half PPR. I don't change too much there. So Chubb or Mixon, it's a real toss-up there. It's 50-50, but I'm going to go with Chubb, and then, but then, it's hard to avoid Sanders, so I kind of like Sanders there. But any of those three, between Sanders, Mixon, and Chubb, I don't know if you can really go wrong that much there. So all three are excellent choices. Okay, and now that we've got our two stud running backs out of the way, we can look at potentially another position, but it sure doesn't hurt to have three stud running backs. But who could we really get? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I don't mind as an RB3, but as an RB2, I'm just not convinced. Damian Williams is still technically the starter and should have been the Super Bowl MVP. So, I think a lot of people are, jumping the gun on Edwards-Helaire just being this every down top 5 fantasy back, So ESPN's rankings are interesting. They're definitely different than Fantasy Pros, not significantly. I do notice that Lamar and Mahomes are a bit lower. So see, if Mahomes got to us here, which he won't now, but I'd consider him there. Yeah, David Johnson, Raheem Mostert, these are not picks I'm excited about whatsoever here. So I think it's time to get going on the wide receivers here. And it is nice having the double pick at 12, of course. But if we go running back, just to make sure, anyone I want is way down there. So wide receiver, get a couple studs. I like A.J. Brown this year. He really showed off last year. And in the next range, take Robert Woods over Cooper Kupp, and Calvin Ridley's overrated, at least not as a player, but in fantasy. So we'll go with Woods there. So now just like that, two stud running backs, two stud wide receivers. You don't want to be trying to get your RB1 down here. It's just a nightmare. And it's the same every year, and I say it all the time. If it's full PPR and you're going for your Tariq Cohens and all that, fine. But otherwise, it's just not a good idea here. All right. Usually in this range, I like to get a couple more wide receivers, and then receivers are basically done unless I take one at the very end. But as long as you have your stud running backs, you can get quarterbacks at the very end of the draft in single QB leagues. You can get tight ends at the very end. There's some really, really good sleepers there. I do like to get Tyler Higbee as much as possible this year. They're really using him and Woods a lot in the two tight end sets. I'm almost worried about taking too many Rams, though, because I really like Akers. I really like Higbee. I really like Robert Woods. I'm avoiding Cooper Kupp because he's going to be overdrafted this year. But, okay, it's coming back to us. And let's see who we got with the double pick here. Wide receivers aren't jumping out at me. Deontay Johnson, that's too early for him. Let's see who all is available here. A couple of really good ones there. I can't pass up Akers, though. I just can't. Got to go Akers. I like Singletary there as well. People are too hard on him. I'm not too worried about Zach Moss, to be honest with you. Although Josh Allen does rush a lot there. Still really good quarterbacks. But I mean, at the very end, you can get someone good, so it doesn't matter. Okay, let's go with I'm taking Singletary. 4 starting running backs. Now, the only thing I might have done differently there, I forgot I always get Kareem Hunt on my Chubb team, so I probably should have taken Hunt there instead of Singletary, but not a big deal. Especially since this is non-PPR. If it's full PPR or even half PPR, I think Kareem Hunt is a must-grab when you've got Chubb. In non-PPR, though, I mean, you're basically just hoping for an injury, and that's it. So less important in non-PPR, but still one of the best handcuffs in fantasy, and someone you want on your roster in a lot of cases, even if you don't have Chubb. As long as there's any points for PPR whatsoever, you'd want to look at that. All right, here. Love all these auto picks. So we've got 4 awesome running backs. See, like, if I have 4 running backs, if I emerge from a draft with Chubb, Sanders, Akers, and Singletary, I mean, whatever else happens in the draft can only bother me so much, right? Okay, Higbee's gone. All right, so we got everybody here. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to wait till the very end on QBs and tight ends now. So, RBs, non-PPR, none of those excite me. Okay, so let's go receivers. Deontay Johnson for sure. Crowder and Tate are must draft in full PPR. Non-PPR, not as much. Slayton. I'm thinking that Slayton is going to be the main guy there. Tate's the slot. Shepard, I think, was just the guy just because no one else was there. I feel like Slayton is the next one here. We've already got that. Kind of like Jerry Jeudy. Maybe a bit earlier than we have to take him. Interesting. I'm going to try Slayton here because he has #1 receiver upside. I know there's a lot of guys there, but with the Giants, but Slayton, yeah, he had some really good games, but I'm not sold on him completely, but I don't mind the pick there. Since this is a typical draft for me where I just go hard on RBs and wide receivers. I do like getting an elite tight end. I mean, I would have loved if in the 3rd round Kittle fell to us, you know, but you know, in auction drafts, which we'll do some auction drafts this year for the channel. And auction drafts are really underrepresented because they're a lot of fun. And when people get used to auction drafts, it's hard to go back because you can basically get your guys, and it's really cool. But yeah, auction drafts just aren't that popular. They do take longer, of course, but they can be a lot of fun. Okay, well, I definitely like Latavius Murray because the 2 weeks last year when Kamara was out, he was basically the top fantasy performer, period, I think. Boston Scott or Alexander Madison or Damian Williams? Well, the tiebreaker here is going to be later in the year, who do we want? And even though Damian Williams, I think, is good early on, later in the year, I'm not sure. I loved Boston Scott last year, and I love Madison. I'm going to take Madison simply because if Cook holds out, never mind his injury history and concerns, if he holds out, Madison could be the starter for the whole year in a decent rushing offense. So I am taking Alexander Madison. I'm trying to get him on all my teams, really. He's awesome. When he runs, you can't tell if it's him or Cook unless you look at the jersey number because they have the same haircut and they have the same running style. Okay, and now look at this. We've still got a bunch of picks left, and we've already got 6 running backs, 4 wide receivers. Okay. I literally want the last 4 picks to be tight end, then QB, then kicker, then defense, because my kicker I like to keep all year and defenses I stream, so I'm not as concerned with them because I'll keep them for a week or 2 and that's it. Okay, let's take a look at everybody here. But yeah, ESPN.com is good in that they start early. I mean, right after the NFL draft, you could do mock drafts. You never have to, you know, pre-schedule one. They just have kind of just pick up and go drafts all the time. And I do miss the live draft lobby they used to have, which was way better. It was really good. You could pick which room. Now they just kind of stick you. It was basically like the mock draft lobby is right now. Mock drafts are still fine, but when you're doing an actual draft, you have to wait for it to fill up. It's kind of annoying the way they do it. So, okay, so we need 2 more guys and then all those other positions. Now, you know what? I have to say, I'm actually going to jump on Hayden Hurst here. I thought he'd be ranked a little bit lower. So I'm going to take Hayden Hurst there because he's a real sleeper tight end of mine. He's just going to take over for Austin Hooper in the #1 passing offense in the league, or at least the team that throws the most. And Damian Williams still there. I don't think we can turn that down. Okay, let's go Damian Williams. All right. Now what do we got? 7 running backs, max 8. We have one more bench spot, and then our QB. Okay. Few guys I like here. So A.J. Brown, Robert Woods. We could use another receiver. As long as I have 4, I'm fine. In some cases, I'm okay with 3. Deontay Johnson, I think, is the real deal. Slayton, not sure. So, okay. You know what? I love Paris Campbell in the slot this year for Phillip Rivers. I think we're taking him. And I like Ryan Tannehill there. Yeah, Tannehill and Minshew I really like as late quarterback picks there. Okay, and then just like that, we just need defense and kicker. So honestly, not a lot of difference from the 10-team drafts I've done. I've been focusing on 10-team drafts because that's what my work league does. But, you know, it actually makes sense to just train for the 12s, but I've just been really enjoying the 10-team leagues and trying to make something really stacked. Okay. Okay, kicker. I think Robbie Gould's losing it a bit. I don't think he's as good as he once was. Zane Gonzalez I love this year. I just think he's fantastic. He's going to get a lot of kicks as Kyler stalls in the red zone because he's short. So let's go with Zane there. And then for defense, yeah. Chargers have the best secondary in the league. They're facing Burrow, who I like, but it's going to be his first NFL game week 1. So a lot of potential for turnovers. I know Burrow's going to be better than Peterman, but if we remember Peterman that first half against the Chargers, 5 interceptions, and this Chargers secondary I think is even better than that one, which is really saying something. So if we look at the depth we've got here, I don't worry. You can always pick up in 1 QB leagues. And you can always pick up another QB off the waiver wire easily. And tight ends, I don't like to get more than 1 usually. So yeah, Hayden Hurst, really sneaky one you can get later. But at running back to have Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, Devin Singletary, Latavius Murray, Alexander Madison, and Damian Williams. I mean, you're going to have people just offering to trade you everything under the sun by the end of the year. And it's just, you know, everyone always regrets that they don't take enough running backs, it seems. It happens all the time. So I try to just take too many, if anything. So this is what a 12-team non-PPR draft looks like on ESPN. We'll work our way back from 12 to 1, and we'll try some other sites as well. I don't know if Yahoo's really going yet strong with the mocks, but I'll look into them too because they tend to have, yet again, some different ADPs there. So it's good to kind of get a range. I'm actually making a spreadsheet for all the different sites, try and get an average, and then when I go to a live draft, I've got kind of the range there, and I know where I have to be if I want to get a certain guy more than likely. So, all right, that's it for today. We'll see you later.